6 Lessons I Learned from the Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Today we are going to be doing a book review, which is The Psychology of Money. I've seen quite a few of them floating around the internet, but I do want to make my own interpretation. What happened with me and finances was that my brother, he did a bachelor's degree in finance, so he was the person that knew about finances and I was the person that was not, and that's how I lived my life up until very recently. However, I was always into psychology. If you combine the two, it makes a lot of sense that people have some knowledge of finances because humans are mostly led by their feelings. It's quite often biased. This is why The Psychology of Money is a book that is essential to understanding how people behave with money. The first lesson was each generation was born into a different way of how the stock market was going. My generation, millennials, the stock market was never on a big crash, so we trust it more, and we haven't seen inflation until now that much, so we are not calculate with it being so substantial. And this is what I got from it, was that each generation has their different feeling of how the stock market is behaving, how the inflation is behaving, and how much we have to count on it or not. We have to be aware that we are also not only led by our own perception, but usually our parents' or grandparents' generations' perceptions as well. So it piles on. That's the first lesson I learned. My story of how I got into finances was because I was never in them. I never was the person that took finances seriously. I learned how to save money from my brother, because he was always very money conscious person, which I'm super thankful for actually, because it helped a lot for me, because on my own I wouldn't have thought of how to do those things, but I basically learned from him what he's doing. A few months ago I started picking up books for myself, so this book was really good because it is combining psychology, my real love, with money. So I think it's very useful for a lot of people, because even if you're not into finances that much, if you read this book, it would still help you. It is also talking about how much you are affected by what environment you were surrounded by. For example, I was surrounded by people from the middle class, and the way they talk about money, and the thing that I've learned, not only from this book but others, it counts a lot how you speak about spending and saving your assets, your liability. The second lesson is mind your words on what you use for money. Learn from people who are more wealthy, because they know how to speak about it better usually. The third one is being able to tell how much luck and risk plays a role in your finances. Being able to tell how important it is to manage risks, for example. Recognize that luck plays a significant role in outcomes, and risk management matters more than trying to predict every market move. You will not be able to predict every market move. The fourth one is never enough. A pursuit of wealth often leads to a never-ending cycle. So you get a raise and you spend more money. You buy a bigger house, you buy a nicer car. So you spend the same amounts. You don't put away more, you don't save more. You don't start putting your money to assets. which can further down the line bring you additional money. No matter how much you accumulate, the desire for more persists. Contentment lies in understanding that enough is subjective and it varies for each individual. Why are you buying something? Like buying something for that you have seen all your life, that it's a fashionable thing to own the designer bag. Doesn't mean that you really love it, how it looks or something. You just want to look like having the money. If you're doing it for the facade, then it's not good. Okay, next. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. A lot of people, lottery winners or other kinds of people we've seen get rich quick, but they are not able to keep the wealth because they do not have the mindset. They are used to not having money, so they lose it all very fast. The way you change that behavior is by learning about liabilities and assets and knowing the difference between them. Growing your assets is the way that you can start compounding your wealth, for example. Freedom, very important, I love it. True wealth isn't just about money, it's about freedom. Financial independence provides choices and flexibility. Prioritize freedom over excessive accumulation. Buying the 10th car. I've seen women buying designer crap, a lot of them, and you're not able to do anything after, like, I don't know, 20 or 50 of them. Some women have like hundreds of very excessive spending. And I'm not saying it's bad, you can be a collector, but I'm saying that you have more freedom, for example, to go on a nice country where you can learn multiple cultures or how people behave or how you feel in another environment. And I think that gives way more than the 50th bag, or something. That I would say that is one point as well. Compounding, that means that compound interest is powerful, but it works both ways. So that also compounds against you, just as investments compound in your favor. So be mindful of the long-term effects of your financial decisions. I had a guy that was in debt. You can get very, very low, very, very fast. You aren't careful with your financial situations. So remember that financial success isn't purely a matter of intelligence or technical knowledge. It's deeply intertwined with our behavior and emotions. The psychology of money matters more than we often realize. For a deeper dive, you can explore Morgan Housel's book, which delves into these timeless lessons on wealth, greed, and happiness. What I really liked in this book, that it's super good at showing practical examples of your life. I really encourage you guys to read it as well for yourselves, because I did give an opinion. If you actually read it, you get a different perspective. I also do encourage you to check out my next video, 3 lessons I learned from Bob Proctor. Don't forget, it's about Susi. Peace.